Welcome to Comfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Jazz Kirk, where we dive deep into the greatest gift life can offer us, discomfort. Today's guest I have is MaZing, who is an amazing artist here based in Dallas, from Boston. So you bring your Boston roots to the Dallas community. You just had a phenomenal show last month.
Yeah.
Kaleidoscope and Lava that had a huge, amazing turnout.
Yeah.
How are you? Thank you for coming today.
I'm great. I'm so blessed to wake up this morning and be on Earth, and I'm very happy to be here with you. I feel like whenever I'm around you, you have a very grounding presence and energy, and I'm also an Earth sign, and I'm a similar personality, so I like to be around you because I feel that same energy.
Okay. What sign are you?
Virgo.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an Aquarius.
Yeah, Aquarius is my rising and my moon.
Very aware. I'm not sure. I'm like, the most I can give people is that I'm an Aquarius.
Yeah.
And I follow astrology a little bit to feed into the positivity that I need for that week or month. And I know when Mercury's in retrograde. That's about it.
Yeah.
So I was like moon and sun rising. We love that. Very aware man.
Yeah.
So, MaZing, tell us about this show.
Mm-hmm.
Can you sing a little bit for? I'm just kidding. Tell us about this show.
It was really fun. You know, it was something that I produced. I had some help. I had recently hired an assistant back in the middle of the summer. So she was helping me prepare, and then she brought someone onto her team. And it was just really an all hands on deck effort to put this together. We hosted it at Top 10 Records, which is a cap about 60 people-ish. We almost sold out, so it was really packed, and it was great, and sold some merchandise. Everyone had nothing but great things to say. They had an outstanding time, and I think the experience was great for people. I started working with a new live band, so we did probably like 6 hours of rehearsal before the show to get, really prepared. And yeah, I feel really, really great about it. I'm still riding the high from the show.
Really? And this was your first show that you curated like this.
Mm-hmm.
So that experience, I'm sure, was like all the little details, like that had to feel amazing.
Yeah, it felt really cool the day of when I realized, I've done everything that I could do to prepare for this. There's nothing really left for me to do besides go pick up ice.
Yeah. Like the simple is
yeah. But I felt super prepared, and everything fell into place as it was intended.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
So
we missed you.
I know.
But I brought you gifts.
Did. And guys, it matches my outfit. The gift matches my outfit. So
yeah.
I don't know if the universe told them like she's gonna wear this color.
For real.
But also, so to kind of back up, you're an artist, creative. For you to produce your own show, like that had to take a lot of definitely like insight to be like, okay, this is something I want to do. But the first question I have for you is, what discomfort led to this version of a person that sits in front of us right now?
That is a very loaded question. I will address it in bullet points. No, sir. I think one of the main things that I have learned to deal with in my life based on my experiences is embracing imperfection, embracing a lot of challenges and loss. Growing up in my life, we lost a lot of family members. We lost some friends. And I think just really early on, I had a clear understanding that this is impermanent. People come and go. You can't really, they're not yours. You just have to enjoy. It's like, it's your turn. You just have to enjoy them for as long as you have them. So it's really just taught me to cherish life and to really be grateful every day. and to try to make the most out of, my time here on earth.
Yeah. And so the first thing you bring up is imperfection. Do you feel like, I think so many people battle with having a perfectionist personality. So does that come into that grounding personality that you have, the, centering of, let me embrace imperfection. Like there's so much beauty within this space.
Yes.
Can you kind of break that down more for us?
Yeah, I think I used to be so worried. Even when I would perform or get on the mic, I would be so concerned about hitting every note or making sure that every single move that I do is like perfect or cute, and just overthinking so many things that almost are irrelevant. Obviously, it's good that you perform well and that you're actually putting on a good vocal performance, but it's not going to be perfect. One of my friends said to me one time, she said, you should never worry about that. I never worry about that because I know I can do no wrong. So when I heard her say that, it really touched my spirit, because now I look at it like I can do no wrong.
I can do it. I'm not making a mistake.
I'm not making a mistake.
And it definitely, I think it puts you in a different headspace as well. Like when you think about you being an artist and a performer, there is this very perfectionist culture out there for artists and performers who, you've embraced, like, it's going to be okay. And do you feel like that helps you, which when you started, you said your show was amazing. Like the craziest thing you had to think about day of was ice. Like that's how much you were just in a good space, and you were, sounds like, a bit prepared. If something comes up, you're also prepared, but you're not going to stress. You're not going to worry.
Right. And I thought about that because I was watching the other episode. I don't remember what the young
Dean with preparation.
Yeah, Dean, he talked about being prepared, not because he wants to control everything. I forget the second part of it, but when he was saying it, what I thought he was going to say, or what I would have said, is that so that whatever happens, I'm good to deal with it or to pivot and handle anything that's unexpected. So as long as you do all the preparation, whatever comes after that, it's kind of out of your hands. But being more prepared allows you to work with whatever challenges arise or things that come up.
Yeah, because imperfection doesn't mean you're somebody who's like clumsy or I don't care about anything. It's actually the opposite. On the back end of imperfection is someone who's consistent and disciplined and has that. I think Dean said, chops wood, gets water. Like it's so monotonous that you don't even have to think about the things you're preparing for, because it becomes this effortlessness.
Right.
I love that. I think embracing imperfection was something that, as a perfectionist,
it's hard.
It's so hard. Like when I had to start being like, relax, you're not going to do it perfect. But it's because what I learned, and even like in starting my own business, helped me understand this the most. Most of the best opportunities that came to me, I was not necessarily prepared for, in the sense that I knew what it would look like. I was prepared in the sense of skill sets, tools to use, knowledge, information, but I was not prepared to understand the capacity of what was being presented to me. It was always something that would require me to level up.
Right.
That I was like, oh, it's okay to embrace imperfection, because you do have to do something where this is the new thing for you, and you're going to be challenged. It's going to have obstacles, but you're ready.
Yeah. You know this song, The Matrimony by Wale? Yeah, that, the intro of that song.
So can I say something before you?
Jerry Seinfeld.
I love Seinfeld. I love that song.
Yeah.
And he says, and you're getting on the roller coaster. He goes,
it's this sound of this violent crunching metal. Yeah, he talks about how like any new growth, you're not really prepared all the way for it because there's a lot of growth that has to happen once you're in that predicament or in that situation. Then Wale's like, so even if, so no matter how much you prepare or how much you try to psych yourself up, you don't ever think you're ready for marriage or ready for kids or whatever. And part of that is a thing, you know, you can try to prepare, you can try to set up everything. You can try to get a house and be married and be together for 4 or 5 years or all those things. But no one's story is linear. No one's path is linear. And you got to just be ready to embrace and grow through the change.
Man, listen, that song, like I listened to, I'm not kidding.
It's a good song.
I just recently listened to that song and I was like, man, I had it in my AirPods on a walk. And then I got home and I was like, man, you got to play this. Because I love it. Jerry Seinfeld, I think, is so amazing. But Wale, as an artist, even as like a poetic artist, that's something I've always loved about him. One, he was always like telling a story, and it was more poetry than it was like him being a singer or rapper or whatever. Like he had his own lane, and that like you don't necessarily see that all the time.
Yeah, Wale was unique in his storytelling, and then everything felt conceptualized.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't just like stuff thrown together. It was well thought out. It was curated well, and it had a theme that was,
so how
stayed consistent throughout.
Apply that imperfection to your music?
Oh, that's a good question. How do I apply the imperfection to my music? I think when I'm in the creative process, I'm not really thinking too much. And I think that's the space I live in, where I know I'm like doing God's work and like magic, because I'm really operating in a place of feeling, and I've completely let go of fear.
So is it being? Like, is it just you being? I think that's what...
It's just being present and just adapting and embracing the feelings, thoughts, in the moment. It's really just, for me, about being very present.
Okay.
Even when I perform live, because performing live can be challenging in many different ways, and there are a lot of moving parts, but it's just about being present, you know?
You got to be in that room. You have to be extremely present in that room to feel the energy of the people.
Yeah.
The space.
You have to be like this with them.
Yeah.
Like the whole time.
And then you also just have to like, at some point be able, I think about it as meditation. It's like just an inhale and an exhale. It's so effortless that it's like, you know it's going to happen. It's just an inhale and an exhale. And you can, when you're meditating, a lot of times you realize, like when people get stuck on like, I have so many thoughts, and you're like, the thoughts are there. Mm-hmm. Of course they're there. You don't attach to them. The people are there. You don't attach to them, but there's some connectedness to it.
Right. Have you ever painted, like just been in the house and you're like, I just want to paint, or just splatter paint on a canvas or something?
I have never, but take us through that. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is. It is.
You've done this.
Yeah. I used to, back when I lived in Boston, I used to do a lot of visual art as well. Like I used to do gallery shows and stuff like that.
So you're an artist with musically, but also...
Yeah, I really don't paint anymore. I haven't painted in like 5 years.
But is that just the art form that's not coming out right now? The current art form?
Yeah, I could do it. Like I painted those bags, spray painted those bags and stuff.
Okay, then you have recently done
I guess. I know, I guess. It's a different form. Yeah.
I would get up right now to show y'all this bag because it's dope, but we're not.
It's okay later.
But we'll get a picture later.
But I only brought up that because the feeling, the freeing feeling that you feel when you're just throwing paint on the canvas and just the absence of thought is what it's like when I'm in that moment. Or almost, you could almost make it parallel to if you're out on the trail and you're running.
Yeah.
And then you're just tuned into one thing. You're tuned into your breath, or you're tuned into a repeated thought or a lyric, or you're only listening to the music, or you're just counting, steps. Something very simple.
Yeah.
That is just like,
it's just do, do, do. I remember
rhythm.
I realized my rhythm when I was in Chicago training for the marathon. That day I had to run 22 miles.
Ooh.
And I had to run 22 miles. But then it was raining, and I was like, because you have to run 22 miles. And that was the first time I had ran in the rain. Like, of course it drizzles or something, but it was the first time I had to run in the rain. And I didn't realize I would love it.
Yeah.
And I tapped in, because I also I felt like every step I was like, do, 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 do. I had tapped in a level that I was like, this is magical. This is bliss. Like, something with the steps just made me ignite even more.
Yeah.
And then after that, when I finished, I had ran my fastest pace.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, this is this is amazing. Like, you didn't know you would like something that most people are like, I hate running in the rain. No, I was like, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. But it also felt like when I found my rhythm, I felt like I was dancing in the rain more than I was running anymore. Like, I felt like the music that I had in felt like I was in a movie. Just
yeah. Dirty? Is it Dirty Dancing?
It wasn't Dirty Dancing, but it was just like you're outside in the rain, just enjoy. Like, you have this joy that you can't even put your finger on, but that's what it felt like.
Right. You know what it feels like, and you would like to feel it again.
It's amazing. Amazing. Literally, I'm hands down when you bring that up. So I wonder if other people, what activities people tap into in a way that there's this rhythm that you're you remove the thought and it's just flow. And that flow becomes bliss. But that sounds like a part of your process to create is this flow state, and you tap into that easily. So can you share how you got to a space that you know how to tap into your flow?
I would just say over time, because I've been doing this stuff for a while. So it's, I think it's just a lot of reps and understanding myself, and then learning the process between making music and then what my daily life is like around it. I understand when I need to focus on things, like compartmentalizing, I think also helps, because I can be like, there's something that's very pressing or something that really demands my attention, but I can easily ignore it or put it off for what I need to do right now.
Okay, I never thought about it like that. I always felt like my flow state was, I think it's either prayer or meditation. And it sometimes it used to take me more time to get there, and I would feel out of alignment. But now I can see where you can learn to compartmentalize and be like, okay, but I got to get this done.
Right.
And I know how to connect.
Yes.
That connection isn't. And I share that because I feel like sometimes people are searching so hard for the flow state, and it really is just like a flick of the switch.
Yeah. I definitely think there's a connection between your consciousness and your presence of your breath to whatever it is that you're doing to get in that mindset. So if I'm recording or if I'm performing, I'm super tapped into my breath, right? Because if I don't have breath, I can't make any noise.
Yeah.
Right. So everything that's happening, it's coming from there. It's coming from my belly. So you just saying that made me think of that.
No, I it really, that connection is the power of the breath is everything. And I think that there's times that people have said, Jazz, I need help with this and I don't know how I should deal with it. And I'm like, just meditate, just breathe. And they're like,
really? That's it? That's what you want me to do?
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it's magical. Like,
and then they try it for like 5 seconds and they're like, this doesn't work. This shit's stupid.
It's like, you're not doing it right.
Right, you're not doing it right.
Go into it with that mindset. I remember an ex of mine was like really struggling with something and they like with business and we had 2 totally different personalities.
Yeah.
And they were like, there was a huge decision that they needed to make for their company. And like, he had been dealing with this for a few days that I was like, hey, maybe you should take a step back, like take a day. Sometimes when you're in the pit of it and you're like in the fire, you can't like see well. So sometimes you need to take a step back, get out of there, get clean, clear visioned, and then you can make a decision. Like I was like, go meditate. And when I tell you, he was like, did you just tell me to meditate? And I was like, oh God.
Oh God, we are really gonna break up.
That's the moment it's like, we're not meant to be. Because you just, that went through it. You're like, that's the advice ever. And I was like, to someone else, that's probably helpful one day. Because it's like, you have to just think I like to make decisions from a peaceful place, especially when it comes to business. But
100%.
You don't realize, like, when you give people that advice, and even when you think about the state of flow, like that discernment within state of flow, that like confidence, that everything, power that you have, it's such an amazing feeling. So I had to share that story because I'm like, I tell people all the time to meditate and some receive it. Some are like, I can't believe, why did I even ask you a question? And I'm like, if you ask me 5 years from now, I'm still going to tell you to go meditate.
The process of doing that, but even the exposure to it, and then the practice of it leads to the understanding. It's like if someone were to tell you something, you might get it in theory, or you might think about it practically, but actually putting it into practice and making the connection is a totally different thing. And it might not even connect with you for like 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. You know, you never know. But I think being open-minded is really helpful. And there's a lot of value in just simply taking some time to sit with your breath or just separate yourself from whatever it is that you're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you're thinking so hard that it's just happening too fast. Nothing is clear.
You can't really process. Like you can process things quickly, but when you have an emotional connection or tied to it, it's really hard to process and separate those.
Yeah, it's hard to process, separate it, and then it's hard to see what's next. Like, what's the next step, or what should I do next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds it sounds interesting to be able to break down like your process, your flow state, what like you embracing imperfection. But also that makes me ask you, like, when you think of artist culture, like that also brings up the topic of like social media. How do you promote yourself? How do you stay positive through all of that kind of stuff?
Okay. I just was like, what was the question? But I know what I want to answer. I know what to say.
It's like she threw a lot at me.
I just try to be myself.
Love it.
And I'd make content around some things. Sometimes I'll do like a trend, but for the most part, I'm trying to create something unique to me and something that I think people will connect with. Sometimes I don't actually think about how the audience is going to receive it. It might be something that I just think is funny or that I think is actually interesting. And then I just put it out and then see how it's, received. But it's just about being consistent. I have a team now that's helping me with marketing. So understanding my pillars, what my brand is going to represent or what it represents, and then how I'm going to put that into the world and share that with people. But at the end of the day, it just really comes down to being yourself and being authentic, because I think if you're not, people are going to totally see through that. And then it's like any front or facade, you really can't keep it up. So it's like whenever they see you in person, or if they come to your show or whatever, see you out, they'll just pull your card and like, oh, this person isn't who we really thought they were, or who they portray themselves to be.
The facade you can't really keep up. Someone asked me this question, like, I think it was Sunday. And I said something very similar. I was like, can't sustain a lie. Can't, like, it literally can't live. It will expose itself. It has to, like, what's in the dark will always come to the light. Yeah. That is not like a suggestion. It is fact. So right. When the fakeness or the untruth, you can't really hold on to it. You gotta like stand in your truth, because that's the authenticity of like standing in your truth, knowing who you are, loving who you are, so that you can just be the best version of yourself.
Definitely.
Do you feel like was that always an effortless place that you were able to be in as an artist? Did you ever I feel like sometimes artists have personas, and it's like, this is who I am on stage, and then this is who I am in life. Because you also talked about your brand. Like, how did that morph into, I'm just MaZing? This is one individual.
It's just living it. Like, I don't feel as if I have to turn it on and off. I'm just living it and being it all the time. So obviously I'm complex like most people. You know, there's not like one version of me, but what I aspire to do is to show people who I am, you know, and not only the good parts, you know, share some of the vulnerable, you know, thoughts or positions that I hold, or some of the frustrations that I might experience, but at the same time still trying to put a positive spin on it, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be sitting and like complaining, or even just feeding into negativity or reasons why things don't work or haven't worked. It's all about figuring it out. And I think that's my biggest thing, and has been my biggest challenge over the past 6 to 10 years, is just figuring it out, figuring life out, you know, figuring out where you want to be, how you want to move, the type of people you want to be around, and then understanding self as well. I feel like it's hard to do anything or really create anything special if you really don't even know who you are or what makes you unique or special. You know, you don't have a foundation. So I try to always lean into my foundation.
And what is that? I think you talked before about like pillars, even of your brand. Mm-hmm. What are those? Like, what is that foundation?
The pillars of the brand really it's around music, and then live music, obviously, like performance stuff, wellness as well. Some of the fitness. I'm preparing for the Dallas Marathon. Ooh. So going to be sharing that as well, my journey, kind of preparing for the marathon.
I think the other day you posted, you were supposed to do 16 miles and you did 15.
Oh my God, I almost died out there.
I really wanted to comment if it's in your head. Like that last mile.
No, it wasn't.
It's like, I know what
it's in my legs.
I know. It's like
physically. It was like literally, I could not go anymore.
So this is when I was training for the Chicago Marathon. I remember mile 18, like it was an 18-mile day. And the song Kirk Franklin, I Am, came on. For 4 miles, I replayed I Am. And I was crying because I said, this is hard. Like, why
did I do this?
Like, why has no one said it's actually hard? Like, for 4 miles, you understand that song is 4 minutes and 20 seconds? For 4 miles, I listened to
that song was playing like 10 times.
That song played like 20 something times because I was just like, I am doing this. I am like the motivation. So that's why that day when you posted the 15 miles, I was like, to run a marathon, I had to learn it was mental.
It's very mental.
It is one of the most mentally rewarding things I've ever done because it taught me the journey. Like when people had said to me, it's really about the journey. You have to embrace the journey. It wasn't until I physically ran a marathon that I was like, the journey of getting to run a marathon has been the most amazing, which is why I said when I was I felt like I was dancing in the rain was one of my Saturdays of like, oh my God, like this is slow bliss.
Yeah.
Because the day the marathon comes, you've ran it. You've ran it 10 times if you wanted to. Like you've literally ran it. It's just the medal and you crossing the finish line that you already see and envision.
It's a very kinetic thing. It's like you can't really understand it in your mind until you actually feel it with your body. But that day in particular, my goal was 16, but literally, Jazz, I could not run anymore. I was walking, and every time I went to go to start to trot, again, just to trot, it was unbearable pain. Like I felt like my knees were going to explode. So I had to literally just walk the rest and just make it back to the car.
And oh my God, I did it. And then, ladies and gentlemen, he has to do it again.
Do it again next week.
And it's like probably
I'm going for No, I'm going to do 16. I'm going to finish the 16. Then I'm going to try 19. My goal for October is to get up to 20.
Okay, because the marathon's December. You'll get there.
I can do it.
It's doable. But so you said your pillars, your brand pillars, personal pillars, that foundation is music, wellness, part of that, and specifically running. But then what else are those pillars?
The third one, this is also something that's kind of morphing. I'm trying to like really lock down. But I don't even remember. It's like lifestyle, wellness, fitness, a little bit of nutrition, the music, and I'm blanking so crazy right now because I'm trying to literally remember my notes.
Well, I mean, but I think it sounds like you're telling a story of who you are through these pillars.
Right.
That become the brand. So music is who you are.
Right.
Wellness is who you are. Through wellness, that's, the nutrition, the physical, like all of those things. So when I think of wellness, I always tell people it's an ecosystem to me: social, emotional, financial, spiritual, physical. Like it's not, my wellness is not just like I went to the gym. Like my wellness is my bank account and everything else. Like my wellness is my family, my friendships, my relationships.
Yeah, facts.
So then then you also share like lifestyle, like who your brand is like that. It goes even further to like identity. Like I know a lot of times people are like the brand, but you're like, it's really your identity of like, these are things that I like. This is where I am now within my purpose. And these are things that matter. That's why I said the pillars. It's really your foundation of who you are.
Right. Yeah, family is really big for me as well. I'm the oldest of 5 and I have a really good relationship with basically everyone in my family. I'm kind of like the baby of this generation. Everybody literally has kids except for me. And they're like married or not, but whatever.
I'll get there.
But yeah. I mean, I'm not in a rush. But it's just, family's always been really important to me. I got a really big family. My grandmother's like second oldest of 9 kids. 11 kids is something ridiculous.
My mom is of 7.
Yeah.
They came from that generation where they were like, we have 10 siblings.
Yeah. It's crazy. You think about it now, like, wow. People nowadays, they have 2 and they're like, I'm done.
They're like, no more, please. Like,
Yeah.
5 is a lot. Like, five is a lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom had 4 of us, but she's one of 7.
Yeah.
But that's awesome to hear. Like, to be an artist, a lot of who you are is there's such a well-being within there that even the music you're creating. Do you feel like what can you tell everyone, like what genre do you feel like are you creating your own?
Yeah, kind of, in a way. It's like what I do is called psychedelic cloud rap. So I kind of infuse like bedroom pop with hip hop, and then kind of my cultural components, like musically reggae and then some Afro beats vibes. So it's kind of like all of this stuff mixing into one. So it's not really one specific genre, but almost like an inclusion of all of these different parts, because I feel culturally it's just really who I am. You know, I grew up in America, grew up in urban America. We grew up in hip hop and R&B. We hear pop music all the time. And then, you know, at home and when I'm around my family, I'm listening to reggae music, listening to soca music, and just listening to so many different, you know, forms of music, and also traveling and embracing different cultures and experiencing the music within those cultures as well. Because my mother grew up in Puerto Rico too. So we also have a big Latin influence in our family. So a bunch of my cousins are from Puerto Rico. So it's just embracing all of those things and just putting them in the light.
Yeah, it sounds like, because people are multifaceted. It's like you want to embrace this side, but you also want to embrace this side. But then the creative side of you is like, oh, but I can blend this as well. Like and within all those cultures, there's so many similarities that you're like, we do this over here too. And
Right.
we do this over here too. And it's really the same thing.
Oh, you guys make that food? We make it, but we make it like this.
Yeah. When I lived in Florida, rice and bean, I had no idea like how cultures can make rice and bean. Like, of course.
So different.
Yeah, it's so different. But like, because when I grew up, of course, I'm Black, Puerto Rican, but I grew up, you know, eating rice and beans on Sundays. And I had no idea, like when I moved to Florida, I was in Florida, and like I was around more Cuban and Hispanic families, and like culturally they ate rice and beans all the time too. And I was like, dang, but we ate it like this. But y'all, like, I was like, I never wanted any more rice and beans, because I was like, growing up, that was Sunday dinner with the meat. And then when I lived in Florida, I was like, oh, this is Sunday dinner for everybody too. All the time. Like, that was weekly.
This is Sunday dinner, Monday through Monday.
Every day, rice and beans. But it was just interesting to see such similarities in like cultures. And it just sounds like you really are blending all of that, and like you're like, okay, I'm gonna take all of this.
Yeah. I think a lot of times the people, they want you to do one thing, or like do this, or like be this. But if you have it in your heart to, you know, incorporate these different components, you can do it as long as you're true to who you are, and then you're creative about how you're doing it. You know, you're not just like throwing stuff around all crazy willy-nilly. You know, you got to be intentional about how you're trying to curate certain things.
So my last question for you is like, what is something that you would share to yourself, younger version, older version, that is like a sweet gift, that is like a gentle reminder when you're going through something hard, or maybe it's not hard, but it's like, it's the thing that's in front of you that's difficult. It's your current mountain. Like, what is the thing you would want to remind yourself?
The greatest things in life are on the other side of fear. I think that's really important. Excuse me, because whether you're young or old, it doesn't really make a difference. They say, like, as you get older, you're less likely to take risks. And a lot of that can be due to fear or having like more to lose. Because as you grow and you get older, you acquire more things, you have more responsibilities, you have more to lose, essentially, if you make a mistake or slip up. But I still think it's important to kind of push the boundaries of the limits of what it is that you're doing in your life, even if it's simple things or making a creative choice. And then embrace the creativity and embrace every single moment that you have with people you care about. Because, being young, you don't necessarily recognize it, but later on you totally recognize and understand, okay, I'm spending this literally 1 or 2 hours out of this day, and I might not even see these people again for a whole year. I might never see these people again in life.
Yeah.
And if they are important to you, just make the moments memorable and just cherish them. Because at the end of the day, that's what we have as we go through life. We have memories and our experiences. We may not, see the people, but we always remember how they made us feel, the time, the things that we did together, and the laughs.
Yeah. I know for me, I said I want to just be so present and intentional in my relationships, and that's all relationships from family, friends to partner, whatever it is. Like, how can I show up and be so present where it's like my phone is down, you have my undivided attention. So people know when I'm like there with you, like, this is where I want to be.
Right.
I want to spend as much time to laugh with, cry with you, hug you. Like, I give people like longer hug. Like, I really hug people.
Yeah.
Why are we not? We don't have to give the side hug.
Give me the side hug?
Yeah.
Hug my shoulder.
But I think that there's so much into like the connection with people and
Right.
being present. And when you talk about like, not really, even as you age, being fearful to create and be creative and still be connected within yourself to flow and like experiment, but also just being extremely present. Because as you shared about your process, like the flow state for you is being really present. So it's like as you, move forward, it's like staying within that.
Yeah.
And just enjoying the moments.
And we're ever changing too. I feel like I've changed so much just this year, personally.
Yeah, same.
And it's important that you embrace the change. And you carry the things you want to carry and then let go of the things you don't.
Rest. Actually, listen, I'm not carrying nothing.
It's too heavy.
No, literally, I was just like, I'm done. It's beautiful, the growth that happens in life. And I think as we get older, you realize it more. Like, it was such a beautiful lesson. Like growth, you start to embrace growth where you're like, I can hug you. I didn't know I needed that.
For real.
So, well, it has been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Having you here. It has been a pleasure learning more about just even like when I think of creative process, because I also have to be creative. I am a creative at heart.
Right.
But it's also like you really helped me remember that flow state and what it feels like. For me, it's personally cooking. Like that is my favorite.
Oh, yeah. You do a lot of creative stuff in the kitchen. Yeah, that's cool.
So thank you.
Thank you.
MaZing. Is there a meaning to MaZing? It's spelled like amazing, but without the A.
Right.
So
my name is Mark Anthony. It's M-A. So I was like, amazing, like the shit I'm doing, right? But you're kind of like young, you're like, okay. Right? So I'm like, amazing, word, whatever. And then I'm doing my thing, whatever. One of my friends that I grew up with, his name's Colin Dixon, and we used to work on music together as well. And he's one of the first people that really believed in me from back then. And he said, nah, MaZing's not really cool. MaZing is way cooler. And unfortunately, like within the next year or two, he passed away. So I chose to go with that.
To honor him.
To honor him in a way, and really to honor him, yeah. And to keep his memory alive as well, because whenever I see the name, whenever I hear the name, I think of him literally immediately. So it's good to keep his presence here with us.
Yeah. Well, Sins, thank you for that.
Of course.
Definitely. It's always dope when people, I always say our connection with people is so powerful because they gift us something.
Yeah.
They always give us a little something. I say sweet serendipity because it's always that thing that's like so beautiful.
Right.
So,
and it's like your nicknames are always given by someone else too, right?
Very true. Very true. So, well, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been an honor.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
The glasses.
Thank you.
And